Hello and welcome back. Today we are here playing Victoria 3 as Japan, which I initially was not going to do a run on, but people seem to have enjoyed the Japan starting step so much that we are going to be continuing here with our second episode of Japan. Last episode, we did kind of the early game industrialization. We hit around 200 construction, which for me is kind of the turning point where you start to think about you start to change the way you're thinking about your industrialization. And then we also did the full restoration of Japan. You see we have the full red Japan. We did not choose to keep the emperor in and around, which is kind of an RP choice you can make if you want, just by not passing parliamentary republic or any of this stuff, but we wanted to kind of move in this direction here. And we also used the Corn Laws in particular to very quickly reform to laissez-faire, free trade, and serfdom abolished, and this is generally a strategy you're going to want to use. Now we find ourselves, we were playing on speed 5 through that entire time. We got in one episode, the full 24 years, so a quarter of the game. And now we're going to be slowing things down a bit, and we're going to be talking about where we want to expand next, kind of what we want to be doing in terms of tech and education, and then we're going to be continuing on our merry way kind of playing. So the first thing we're going to do is we were suppressing the samurai, who are no longer the samurai. We're going to stop this. Not a very good use of our authority. We will, of course, do the government wages trick, where we'll tick it up. We'll have a little bit of extra authority, and we're going to actually put down a second manufacturing edict in the new capital of Kanto. And then with this extra 100th authority, we're going to come over here, and we are going to put in a tax on porcelain, and then we're going to decrease this back down, and we're in okay shape. So, not sure why I did it like that. Oh, our manufacturing things only cost 75 because of our ruler. Very nice. Big nice. Okay, as far as expansion goes, we have a bit of a problem. We have, no boats here, right? And so we will have to be, for now, trying to expand in particular in areas that are adjacent to where we have land. So that's currently over here and over here. But what we are going to be doing in general, or the places we're going to be looking for next, are going to be places that have high resources relative to the population, so they don't take too much infamy. We're not all that strong. We can't fight any of the big boys. We want to kind of stay out of the great powers' way. And so the few places we're going to be looking for is we are going to be looking to take Bahrain, because it eventually has a ton of oil, along with Nejd. All of Borneo, because the eastern portion of Borneo has a lot of oil eventually, and the western portion of Borneo has gold. And then we are also going to be wanting to expand in South Africa here, because Transvaal and Oranhe particularly have a bunch of gold. And so this is kind of our early expansion ideas. Eventually, we might want to take Beijing, mainly for the Forbidden City, and then Shaanxi, because Shaanxi has the most resources out of any state in the game. They also have 30 oil that will appear eventually, in addition to, this 116 coal mine, 96 iron, this sort of stuff. And hopefully, between this place, and over here, between Borneo, the Middle East, and maybe our plan to take a little bit of Beijing, we're set on the oil. As far as the rubber, which we of course don't have in Japan, we are colonizing. We have all of this area here. Once we get regular quinine, we will be able to colonize quite quickly and get a nice foothold in this portion of the Congo in order that we can get a bunch of rubber. We also have a little bit over here. We're going to be taking states kind of out and about right now while we have no boats. We will need boats in order to do kind of some of the other places, to make some of the other landings. Now, as far as tech goes, we have prioritized a bunch of the production tech, but with Mechanized Workshop, we are finishing up the production tech that is essential. For military tech, we're just going to kind of ignore it, and we're not going to push any of these too far, although General Staff is particularly attractive. This is a very strong PM, so we might go General Staff and General Staff only. But other than that, we're going to leave the mil tech alone. And as far as society tech goes, we are going to want to come in on Quinine and egalitarianism, and maybe do the trick in order to pass proportional taxation. Now, normally proportional taxation is a little hard to pass once you already have per capita taxation. You notice only the trade unionists support it, but what we can do is we can go back to land-based taxation, assuming this doesn't rev us, and then forward to proportional taxation, leapfrogging per capita. I haven't experimented too much with this, but I'm looking to try and experiment a little bit more with it. Generally speaking, I think that usually you want to try and get other laws in place first, like laissez-faire, free trade, but we already have those in place, so we're going to be looking to maybe try a bit of this out. And also, we're going to be putting in an education system. Now, it's important to emphasize from last episode, we kind of got education handled to some extent by picking up the unique building in eastern Mali, the Mosque of Quinine, which gives 22% free education access, and this is the equivalent of 2.2 public schools as far as just education access alone is concerned. And so this is kind of our plan for moving forward. So we're going to take a quick save because we have no infamy right now. And we are going to start a little bit of a fight. Now we are going to go after Zanzibar specifically. We're going to go after Oman and just try and take the state, and hopefully this will be okay. In general, I have noticed this thing where the great powers like to stick their finger in your pie. If you have subjects that are unrecognized, I assume they also like to go after you a little bit more if you're unrecognized. But we're just going to go after this. We are notably not going to put any more war goals on Oman because otherwise we won't be able to enforce them below 0 because we would have to occupy their capital, which we cannot do because we are not landing anything. Now, back to our islands, and we are going to take a look at where we currently have any naval bases. I know a few places built them, and we are going to just put in, so we have 10. This will be enough, or more than enough, to work on Borneo and the Middle East. It will probably not be enough ships to land Zulu, and so we'll need a little bit more to land Zulu. Discord without the armed forces, we will let the Intelligentsia cannibalize them. And see, this is why we saved beforehand, because Great Britain has decided they want to stick their finger. They want to stick our finger. They want to stick their finger in our pie. And so this is perhaps my greatest complaint about Victoria 3. Or at least from a gameplay perspective, this is the thing that I think is most frustrating to initial players, is the entire system of how, the entire system of how plays work is such that it's really, really opaque. You can't really tell exactly what's going to happen beforehand, and then sometimes you just get absolutely wrecked. They shouldn't join if we're going after Messina, and we'll just conquer state Messina. But the plays are just, it's a very opaque system, and I kind of like the idea that there is, some maneuvering and like things can go poorly and you really don't know what you're getting yourself into, but it's a little much from a gameplay perspective. It just sucks. This is very good for us. Okay, so there is gold in Hokkaido. I think it's a maximum of 8 gold mines, which you can get a few more gold fields, and this is particularly good. We're going to do mine, it's all mine for the extra throughput, but this is going to, the fact that we've discovered this, we discovered 8 mines, and they're going to get pumped up, this is going to give us a ton more income, and so we're going to be able to expand construction. Now, we also do want to expand universities this episode. We currently have none, and so we'll introduce a few universities here in the capital, the new capital of Kanto, and we notably will put them on secular academia. I believe we should have already done this, but these should be on secular as well, and these should be on free churches, which they all are, so things are good. We're going along about our business just fine. We are going into Messina now, because Great Britain is extremely likely, generally speaking, if you attack an inland state, great powers don't really join against you, so this makes expanding in Central Asia particularly good, because if you get Macron, for example, you can go into Kalat, Afghanistan, Bukhara, all these types of stuff, and usually TM, great powers do not join against you. We get France joining against us. This is the 1.2 AI, and it is, or starting like 1.2.3 in particular, the AI has been a lot more aggressive about this sort of stuff. I don't know why it takes so long to register the load games. If this is something that is local to me, or if it is just kind of a nature of the game, but it is unfortunate. We're just trying to vibe, I guess we should see what they are currently going for in terms of, what they're trying to enforce. But we can start a fight there, we can start a fight over here, and we can also start a fight here, but this is kind of it. We are going to, again, go back in, and we are going to put in the naval bases, and this is, kind of like, yeah, the play system is just generally kind of frustrating, the way that it works. I really hope that this is kind of, I hope that they have an overhaul for diplomacy in 1.3 that makes this kind of not as much the thing. But we will again have the Intelligentsia cannibalize the armed forces, and we are going to also work our way up towards having some boats, so maybe we can do some more plays, like take Kutai, like this sort of stuff. Notably, if for taking Kutai, we don't really care too much if a great power joins, although we probably can't stop them from landing us, so maybe we do care a little bit. But when you can just land someone and they do not have front access, then it is less of a concern. But here, France has front access until kind of where we need for Messina, so yeah, there's all that. We are discovering rubber in a few places. This will become important eventually. And we are making quite a bit of money. We're paying a little bit in subsidies, so what we are going to want to do is we are going to want to put in railroad transportation. Even though it's not profitable, what it will do is it'll decrease the price of, or it'll increase the price of transportation here. And by increasing the price of transportation, you will decrease the subsidy because you'll make transportation more profitable. We're also going to come in here and we're going to add the 3 unis that we had added before. And we'll just vibe for a little bit. Notably, we did not get the gold mine discovery event. If we get the gold mine discovery event, we might switch our trajectory or our kind of what we're doing and move a little bit more towards maybe nitroglycerin into dynamite. This type of stuff, or just nitroglycerin might be good. It's not spreading to us anyways, and so we can kind of get into it fairly early, and it is particularly good when you have a lot of gold in your country, which we do not currently have, but we can discover gold with the aid of nitroglycerin. If, you know, we conquer Transvaal and Orange, then we will want to do this, but we're not currently there yet at this point. We finished colonizing Guinea. Hiya. So, France now has a native uprising in Senegal. And so maybe they won't join a play against us now. I suppose we could save and try again here. We don't have any infamy decaying currently, so this is generally something we'll want to do. But it's, you always want to be decaying infamy. If you're not using your infamy decay, you're losing it. And so this is a thing that if, you know, if you're ever above, or if you're ever down at 0, you kind of want to try and find some sort of productive war that you can do. And of course, now they have good relations with us. Hiya. Well, let's see if Great Britain is involved in anything. Well, it looks like they're involved in 2 fights, so maybe Great Britain will not side with us against Zanzibar. And maybe we could actually enforce on Zanzibar first. We will see what if Great Britain joins against us, we will double check what they want. And if they want something that is not too bad for us, maybe we will do it. Now we have our queue, we have several items in our queue already. We're kind of trying to build in a way that we are encouraging economies of scale from the auto production and focusing mainly on tools and clothing, as it were. We're losing a little bit of money. This is because the extra goods for the military buildings, probably. But we are at a point where we can increase taxes. We still have a lot of peasants. Generally, this is a fairly good heuristic. If you are on a lot of peasants, you can have high taxes, generally speaking. And as you start coming off the peasants, high taxes become worse. And so maybe we will... Great Britain sides with Oman. So we're going to see what they want. This, of course, is not ideal. They want a Guinea treaty port. I mean, I think this would be progress. They don't have a front, but they can quickly get one. And then they would have a treaty port on us. Notably, they want to put treaty ports into us because we are an unrecognized power. And I think that they are likely to stop siding against us in every play if we give them a treaty port. And so what we'll do is we'll try and conquer Zanzibar, enforce on them, and then get enforced on by the British. Something like this. Just a little bit of a compromise. We are more than happy to give up the treaty port in exchange for all of Zanzibar. This is something we're fine with because we have, again, we are fully on 0 infamy, although now we're on 25. And so, but we don't like that they're antagonistic. This is unfortunate. We will improve relations. We will try and hope that they kind of move away from that. We could maybe try and join the customs union, but we are going to come in and we are going to increase construction a little bit. The reason we are increasing construction is that we can up taxes pretty comfortably at this point, and we know that we can discover gold as well. We don't want to run a huge deficit, so we actually will up taxes now. And the extra taxes will get us out from this deficit. You don't want to be paying interest if you're an unrecognized power, but we should be able to maybe get something done here. Great Britain has not moved anyone to the front. If they do not move anyone to the front, we should be able to get this. If they move a bunch of people to the front, we will just load the game again. But this is a system that I think really needs, more than anything else, needs an overhaul, because from a new player perspective, you start a play and then this, you know, great power just waxes you and you're like, okay, I guess, you know, it's like a feels bad scenario and it's very opaque what's going on and what is going to result and like all these sorts of things. And so, you know, in terms of making the game more attractive to the more casual player, I think it's important. As far as I know, a lot of people are doing this save load thing, but I think Iron Man right now is just completely unplayable. Not because of a bunch of people joining in on the plays, but actually because of something else. We will improve our relations with Great Britain here. But I think that the reason that Iron Man is unplayable now is because when you have a revolution, you can click switch sides, and I think you switch sides, there's no like confirm button, it just switches your side to the other side of the revolution, and you can accidentally do this when your subject has a native uprising. So let's say Cambodia was our subject and they had a revolution. I meant to say revolution, not native uprising. If they have a revolution and we go and we click on the play and then we accidentally click switch sides, we will now be playing Cambodia's revolution, and I believe there's like no way to return to what you were trying to do before. And so as a result of this, I think it's just yeah, we're gonna get landed on here by, this is just, maybe we should have another general at home just to defend. As I recall correctly, Oman actually we will do this. We will keep him at home. Oman actually will land us. From other plays I have discovered this, and so coalition coupons. Sure. We could do this instead. Well, let's do this instead. This is much more legitimate for now. And we will maybe have to swap things around a little bit. UK is notably not really committing any resources to this, so maybe we'll be able to even white peace with them. We will see. This is their attempted landing, so this is why we raised that general, because we saw the landing coming in here. Our navy was trying to defend against it, but it wasn't going to be enough, and so now we have this, and this is going to be enough to stop Oman from coming in on us. We see that we're at 68, so we don't mind running -30 on this, but we will put in another consumption tax, and then we will kick this down, and now we are making money here. We get Mechanized Workshops. Now, Mechanized Workshops is a very, very strong tech, and now we have to have a little bit of a consideration. We could push nitroglycerin because we know we have the gold to be discovered in Hokkaido, but it is not spreading to us. I think we're going to go banking into mass communications. That way we have finished all the tier 1 tech. Notably, you will incur a malice for researching ahead of time, and then I think we will go either egalitarianism or we will go pharmaceuticals into Quinine. One of these two, but this is what we'll do for now. So very happy Great Britain basically committed 0 resources to this. Little bit curious / concerned. I think there's a good chance that they come and try and land us over here. So as soon as these guys are done pushing, we will switch over. Another tech we can maybe get is General Staff, which is a very strong military tech, but in general, we're trying to let the military tech's natural spread to us in terms of what we're doing. Now, I think we might kick... Ooh, we do not have all of the universities on ironframe buildings, so we're going to take a look at where is not on ironframe buildings, and we're going to swap them over. This, of course, will spend more money, but that's okay. I think we're... we will just take the enactment chance here, and we do discover banking. Big nice. We will move this guy. We will have him stand by. That will send him back to the Japan HQ. And we will likely do the same, otherwise they will just stay put here. Looks like we're going to enforce pretty soon here. Great Britain wants to keep fighting us. It looks like they're moving guys over to the Guinea front. Once they get here, they should push us pretty comfortably. We might just capitulate so we can move on to the next thing and not be... I don't think there's a way for us to prevent them from enforcing on us. We're going to take a brief look at which party is the Constitutional Reform Party. It's the Intelligentsia. We do not mind them gaining momentum. Just trying to get out from under. In fact, we can probably, well, we don't want to give war reps, but we do want to try this probably as our situation. And now that this guy, so our other guy who should be in, ooh, they both went back to the Japan HQ. Sometimes they don't go back to the HQ. I'm not sure exactly what drives all that. But we should be having, I think we unpinned the Navy here, but we do want the Navy pinned. Or our Navy guy died. Poor guy. So we will recruit another admiral. I'm thinking that's what happened. That is what's happened. We're going to take a look. I think that we are going to take the peasant guy, because in general, if we can get that group powerful or get them to stay powerful, that will be nice. Now, what are the odds that... we're just going to take a look at how much we're decaying. We're decaying 2.4. They're decaying a half. I think it's unlikely that we... I think we just capitulate here, because I think it's really unlikely we get them to white peace. Right? Yeah. Very unlikely. So we're just going to capitulate. You can have your Guinea treaty port. Now, hopefully you don't try and take another treaty port from us. Especially a treaty port in Japan, because that's more border gory. You've stuck your finger in our pie, good sir. Now, please leave us alone. Now, we are on max taxes right now. We are going to look to decrease that. Kind of, well... the construction's good. Let's see if we can maybe export and import a little bit more. We're going to take a look at what's profitable. We want to be importing these goods, so we're going to keep them. Oman, I will probably not want to trade with us for a hot minute, so why don't we just delete all their trade routes. And we will put in new import routes, and we will specifically, we're going to take a look at all of the goods that are more kind of agrarian based, and we will want to import these to depress the price of the goods, both for making the inputs cheaper, but also when the price of the good is depressed, it's going to make it less likely for our auto queue to be building it. We have an adjacency to the Liberian market. They have a ton of sugar. We're going to import sugar from them. We might be able to pull them into our customs union later. We'll also import a lot from the Dutch and the Portuguese market. Now, this will encourage our auto queue to build grocery centers, but we are not concerned with that now that we're kind of turning a corner towards more of the mid-game. And I don't know why I'm looking at these manufactured goods, because we mainly want to import the other stuff. These are not very productive, and also they require convoys, so we will not import from there. The French market, we can really import a lot of iron. Now, iron is construction goods, so this will bring down this. So I guess we're going to put this in. And grain is going to be the biggest one we want to import, but we are already importing grain. We are already importing some of this. I guess we'll import it from the Liberian market. We might want to pull them in the future. The fish isn't that productive, but... and these levels aren't very high. We're just going to stay off of that. And fabric is a good one to do. Portuguese aristocratic revolt is adjacent, but we're not going to do that for now. And we are going to import dyes from the Portuguese market. And the Portuguese aristocratic revolt, just because whoever wins, we will have a trade route with them. And we'll import coffee from the Liberian market and the Portuguese market. And now we're kind of in a good spot. Now, exporting, we want to take a look kind of if we have any really profitable routes for exporting clothes and finished clothes, because we're trying to build these tall right now. And why don't we just do a little bit more with the Portuguese and the Liberians here? And maybe we can look to get them in the customs union in the future. So we'll take this off and let things develop. Now, we do have a lot of infamy right now because we did take Zanzibar, which is nice. And this also gives us more fronts to expand in terms of the colonization. I am thinking that we do want to go with colonization before egalitarianism, just because so we can try and cut off as much land as we can from the AI. So we're probably going to go pharmaceuticals into Quinine here. Now, we lost Diplo ties with Oman as well here. We're going to come and take a look in here. I believe we have Yeah, we want to put it on secular academia. We're going to actually bring it up to level 5, which is going to cost us a little bit of a penny. So perhaps we want to either put that at the front of the queue or increase construction. I think we could probably increase construction a little bit here. We do want to get out from the debt, though, so we will try and solve this infrastructure problem with the port. And we'll put a railroad in at the back of the queue for these as well, so that we just create a little bit more of a buffer. Now, we're making a lot of money. Why is this all of a sudden? What spiked up? Was it just all the trade routes? It might have been all the trade routes. Hiya. We'll take the faster enactment time at the cost of the Buddhist monks. They're already upset with us. It is not incurring us a new malice. And now we're making a lot of money. So we're going to come in and we are going to... I feel like it's not just the trade routes. That's wild if it's just the trade routes. We're going to come in here and we're going to kind of increase all of the Japanese areas to looking to put them all at like level 5 at least. Focusing particularly the areas we know that have natural resources we want to exploit. We'll also add another one in Hokkaido, although Hokkaido in general does have a little bit more of a population problem, so we're going to want to do that a little bit slower. Now, I believe Sakhalin is not incorporated. There we go. We will incorporate them. And we're going to look to slowly bring up construction. Our investment pool is draining. Whenever you're evaluating how much money you're making, you always want to do this number plus this number. But we're pretty much making 20k here. And so we will come in and we'll increase the construction. You know what it is that's probably making all this cheaper is the huge import route for iron from our dear friend, the French. We will take a look here, and we will try and push the economies of scale bonus into Tohoku on iron ourselves with our queue. Now we see stuff that's not very productive in the queue, but this is stuff that we want to in general be depressing the price of in our market. And so even though if it's slightly unprofitable, we're going to keep it. If it's very unprofitable, we won't. And we're going to try and see if we can make another trade route for iron. No, not really a very big one we can make. Now we can try and export more tools. Oh yeah, let's do this. We have a ton of tools. We focused on tools early, and generally you saw the price of tools was really low, so this means the buildings aren't that profitable. We want to make them profitable, so we're going to do some of this action. And also notably, you see that they're just kind of capped, and we really don't have a lot of convoys. We're going to try and solve any infrastructure problem we see with convoys, or sorry, with boats. Let's double check and make sure that all of our stuff is on. Yeah, let's switch everything to cargo port, which is going to cost us a little bit more money, but it's going to give us access to more convoys. We're going to add another one of these in the back of the queue, or another two in the back of the queue, because we're trying to build up high here. Russia wants a defensive pact. This is a little bit appealing, because great powers are somewhat likely to stick their finger in our pie. But I think we're going to say no for now. And just try and, you know, work our way up. Now, we are starting to approach kind of like the 5-ish number on our navy, which is going to be enough to invade Bahrain and Kutai and these sorts of places, which have resources we're going to need in the long term. And then somewhat, as we start to get closer to, you know, getting in our navies, we are going to want to go into Zululand. Russia wants us to enter their customs union. Now, I don't think we want to do this. My experience with Russia in the past is that they are fairly likely to export all the goods you want to import and import all the goods you want to export, and this kind of is not very good. We also have relatively low standard of living and have a high population, and one of the big advantages of going into someone's market is the ability to sap off their pups. We have access to every good as well, and this is another advantage. So I think we're generally just not going to want to go inside someone's market as a general heuristic here. The only one I would consider, I think, is the UK, just so that the UK is less likely to stick their finger in our pie. And kind of similar for France, we're going to improve relations with France. We are going to try and see if there's anyone that we can rival. We'll rival Egypt for a little bit more of this, and we'll look to improve relations with anyone who's mad at us, big mad. France might want a piece of, you know, a treaty port as well, which will be a little bit unfortunate if They can do this on us. We are trying to get rid of this interest. Now, we notice we're paying a little bit in subsidies. So what we're going to do is we're going to come into the rural area and we're going to turn on more of the rail transportations. We're going to turn them on coffee and stuff like this first, and not inputs for industrial goods. And the reason we're doing it in this order is because we'll make the coffee plantation less profitable. It's more likely it'll get put in the auto queue, and there are substitute goods for coffee that are industrially based because you can just consume more clothes or more of this or more of that, and so we'll do it like that. We actually will come in here and also use the hammer and check our PMs and this sort of stuff. We will reset the PMs of here, and then we'll take a look at what we're doing in terms of PMs, because it has been a little while since we checked. Oh my god, I forgot to switch on to sewing machines. We're gonna do that. The whole reason we research Mechanized Workshops, actually. So we'll come in here and we'll do that. Shame on me. Now, we're not going to use labor-saving PMs too much in general because we have a large population. Railroads are being a notable exception. I think we're going to swap all these off that. And we do, I think, want to start trending towards hardwood. It's not profitable, but it'll make furniture manufacturers more profitable by decreasing the price of hardwood. And we can also export hardwood in order to increase the profitability to make it so that our place builds more hardwood. And then eventually we get rid of these hardwood exports. So we're going to export hardwood to the British and the French, and also doing a large volume, and the Liberians. Doing a large volume of trade will help us, you know, do some of this stuff. Now we have authority negative, and so we're gonna how do we want to pick this up? I think we're just going to get rid of one of these consumption taxes. I think we're going to remove the consumption tax on clothes, which now we are losing a pretty penny, but we'll see how the market adjusts on the back of this. And we also do want to put in public schools, I believe, because this is probably going to be low for a while. We don't want to go private schools. And then we also want to go rights of assembly at some point. We see that the landowners are making a pretty big recovery here. Let's see if we can reform the government a little. The conservatives must have won the last election. So we will take, I guess, this. We will come in here and we will put in public schools, which will run us a bureaucratic shortfall. I believe we have insufficient tax capacity in multiple places, yeah. The capital is going to be a big one, so we're probably going to increase the government administration at the capital. We're just going to put, I believe it's around 330 for our bureaucracy cost, and so I think that'll be around 6 of these. We're going to put them in the back of the queue and just let things continue on their merry way. Let's check our infamy here. We're at 11, so we do want to find a war somewhat soon-ish. We're going to take a look at our construction centers and look at it and see where we're at. Okay, our naval bases have been built. The problem is they're currently employing. Up. Let's delete the barracks in there. And the naval base in Zanzibar as well. Which is, you know, not going to be too tremendously effective. But we do have to get this number down. Unfortunately, our investment pool is growing. Which, okay, this isn't a bad thing in a vacuum, but it does mean we wish we had more construction, and we can't afford more construction. And so this is a reason to maybe go for proportional taxation next, especially because we should be able to leapfrog around. So why don't we go egalitarianism next, then? That way we can support this construction level that we currently have. We'll take a look. We've also increased construction quite a bit here. We've gone up about 60 in the time we've been playing, which is a decent amount. And we do want to go in through Zululand. We're not going to quite have enough yet. We do want a couple more of these ships. Let's just double check that it's not a promotion thing. Nope, we just really don't have the boats. We also don't mind promoting that guy. We don't have the boats yet. They got to build up. We have 11 boat places, but we don't have the boats to match. SOL looks like it's climbing a little. This is not something we're necessarily trying to push. We have a lot of peasants, so it will be very resistant to increasing, but certainly not bad. The investment pool is draining now. And yeah, we're just not quite making it. So let's see if we can try and shimmy anything around with trades. We're going to look and just see what has high import demand and which has high export demand. And we're going to see if we can try and make our buildings more profitable to increase the investment pool transfer. We're just going to sort by amount. And I think we're happy to export this stuff to the British and the French because it is not using any convoys. And also the Portuguese. We are notably on really good PMs for the clothes, and we just decreased the price of the clothes. Because we finally put in the Mechanized Workshop. Let's see the productivity. Is there any... I guess we'll export fertilizer here. And this is taking up our authority, or not our authority, our bureaucracy. And we will try and import the iron. We're already importing the iron. Can we import wood from anyone? Can import it from the French. It's not very profitable. How about coal? Can import coal. We don't mind that stuff being, you know, constructed in our market ourselves. So we'll just kind of chill for now. The people outside are having a good time. Yeah, we'll just keep coming along. We will look to maybe delete some of these trade routes that are less profitable. I think the fabric one's kind of important to maintain. I think the fruit one's probably less important. And the tea one's probably a little bit less important. It's not losing a ton of money. Well, now it's gaining money. Dahomey wants an alliance. I don't think so, my guy. Mass communication notably does bump our authority up, which is kind of nice. Public schools will also be nice. I am kind of hoping we don't get it on the first tick, because we're not quite ready for it. But if we get it, we get it. We will be ready for it on the next tick. Academic assistance. Well, we don't have a lot of universities, so the minus throughput's not too big a penalty, so we'll take that. We don't have a lot of unis now, but we'll get quite a bit, and we want to kind of get it on the next tick. We're going to finish these government administrations by then. We're going to take a look at our infamy level. We're at 8.8, so we do kind of want to... And we're at 4 boats. This man is leading 4 ships. And so I think we can... I don't know if 4 is enough to land Kutai. We also notably do not have a... We'll probably promote this guy. We have a 13 stack and a 25 stack. I know you can't see it because it's behind my camera. But we have this guy and this guy. And so they would both suffer a penalty being landed by size 4 Navy. But maybe this is just not too big a problem. We're going to take a look, and we're going to look to solve the infrastructure problems with the ports. We're going to put them at the front of the queue. Because we do want more convoys here in an overall sense to help support some of these trade routes that are particularly efficient. I think overall they will pay for themselves. Now we're somehow making money. So a little bit of volatility here. It's always hard to track down the volatility. This is another reason why the game is kind of... It's difficult to recommend it to a wider audience because there's a lot of systems that are not necessarily super transparent. We can decrease subsidies a little bit by coming into rural and starting to up a little bit more some of these. This will dramatically increase the price of transportation, which will increase the profitability of every railway, which will decrease the amount of subsidies that we need to pay out in order to support them. We're now around 330 now that our government admins have finished. If we take a look, institution cost is 332. And so we will be fine once we get the next one out. I think once we get a level 5 boat here, we are going to declare war on Kutai. And just look to kind of do that. I actually really like taking Zanzibar, mainly because it gives you more... It gives you access to expanding here, right, when you want to start. Which we could start right now. It's all Malaria anyways. Let's put that in there as well. So we'll just put in. And get started on these, mainly so we don't forget this type of thing. Hoping that schools passes here. Great Britain's a little tied up. We could also notably go for them here in Messina, but they really don't have a lot of resources, and so this is why it's not as worth it as going over back over for someone like Kutai, which is going to have decent resources. Now, normally we would vassalize and then annex later. We're going to start conquering the state because it seems that the AI is pretty aggressive about joining wars against you when you have unrecognized subjects, so that they can take land from the unrecognized subject. I'm guessing because this incurs less infamy from them that they like to do this. I'm not sure exactly, and maybe I'm just noticing something that's not quite the case, but alright, we see that there's a government admin in the queue. We're going to kick it to the bottom of the queue. Actually, it's already kind of researching. So, and it's almost finished, so we do eventually want to build it, but what we will do is we will kind of push the economies of scale caps in a few places. Now, our current economies of scale cap is 31, so we're just going to take a look around, and we're going to push buildings. We're going to make sure they're auto-expanding, and if we see anything kind of close to going that direction, or close to 31, we are going to look to get it there. Now, we are exporting tools, so why don't we already have a tools at 31, so why don't we really push this up? So this is going to be 21, what is this, 25? Or 26? 31. And so we'll put that in the custom queue. Now, in order to kind of support this, we are going to need more infrastructure. We're going to add a couple ports here, and then also a railway. And that should be enough infrastructure to support it. We're making some money moves. We're making some money. I'm too used to making the money moves joke that it just comes out automatically. Now, we're making money. We do want to decrease this interest, though, so we're going to let it decay out a little bit. I think we're actually also going to decrease taxes. So general per capita is not progressive tax. And that'll increase consumption in our market as well. It'll help in a few ways. We're going to take a quick look. Now we do have the level 5 uni. Techs are coming in a little bit faster. I think we're going to take a save, and we're going to go after Kutai here. So, we're just saving because, you know, the classic great power, finger sticking in pie. But the UK already has a treaty port on us, so they won't want to go after a treaty port on us in particular. And we'll just go for Conquer State in Kutai here. Hopefully no one joins in. We do only have a level 4 navy, but I'm hoping that this increases to 5. I think 5 is enough to land with our 13 stack. Something like this I think is good enough, and we want to kind of start getting the ball rolling in a couple places. Remember, we're going for Borneo, the Middle East, and kind of South Africa, at least this episode. Longer term, we want to think about going Beijing and Shanxi, but we'll see kind of how things look. The Chinese provinces are better to take when you don't have a lot of population, and we do have a lot of population. So maybe this isn't the best, but we can, I think we can manage the Dutch East Indies. We're going to take a look at the power of their army. I believe it's kind of commensurate with our own, and I don't think they're really going to be able to land us. Do we have a more powerful army? We do. So, well, the problem is we won't be able to land the Dutch East Indies, but what we could do is we could go for their East Borneo. We could also liberate, maybe. Now, maybe we liberate Banjar? I'm not sure if this is or that would be a release subject, right? But we could liberate subject on Banjar, specifically. We could also probably land some of these other islands and try and free them up. So we could try and liberate Banjar and Pontiac. I don't think we can land the Dutch East Indies proper. I don't think we can land Java is what I'm saying, so I don't think we can take war reps from them, but I think we could take Banjar and Pontiac. Pontianak. There's some more syllables in there. And Sambas. I think we can land all of these. And look to take them for ourselves later. Oop. Liberate subject. Sambas. And on this note, I think we will actually increase the Navy by quite a bit as well in the back of the queue, because I think we're going to be needing it sometime soon. And I think 15 is kind of a sweet spot where landing Zulu becomes doable. When you have like 15-ish and skirmish infantry, they are landable, is kind of my experience, although I'm not sure the exact number. It probably also depends on your general, this sort of stuff. Landowners are particularly powerful again, which is going to be nice when we get egalitarianism, because the plan is going to be going back to land-based taxation and then forward to proportional. Let's see if this, it does not cause anyone to be revolutionary. So maybe actually we want to start swapping now. Let's start doing this now. So the idea is we cannot currently go to proportional, but a bunch of our people will support the swap from land-based to proportional, but none from per capita to proportional. So this is the idea here. In my, what was it, video for ranking the society text, this is something a lot of people disagreed with me, was where I put egalitarianism. And I think maybe I put it a little bit too low, but I don't think I put it too low relative to like what people were saying, where it was, you know, definitely S tier or something like this. But I do think there should have been like a B.5 tier that I think that it would have belonged in much better. I initially did have egalitarianism and empiricism as A tier, but then I moved them down to B tier. Alright. So we are going to try and get this landing off. We're going to naval invade Kutai, and then we're going to keep the 25 stack at home to defend against foreign naval invasions. We will mobilize them though, so they're ready to go. And then we have to keep in mind that most of our, we will boost our the industries further. Most of our stuff is actually not in the capital here. It's actually, or sorry, this is not the capital. Most of our army is in Kansai, which is no longer our capital, which is just something to keep in mind. But, yeah. So we will try and land these that we have set out to free, which is notably all of Borneo. So hopefully we can do this. This will feel very nice. We will feel like a very kind person after this. But yeah, the expansion strategy is often like very similar for different countries. We're really prioritizing the oil though. This is going to be, Japan has almost everything you really need. It doesn't have it in enormous amounts. We could use a lot more iron, which is one of the reasons why taking Shaanxi is particularly attractive. It has like 100 iron. Let's find it. It has 96 iron. We don't have an enormous amount of iron, I think, left to exploit, although we should have a decent amount. Now, we see that this is no longer really generating a lot of revenue, so we're going to pause so it doesn't flip around, and we're going to cancel this route. That's fine. Our people will consume that stuff too. It's not too big a deal. We're also exporting it to other people. No need to have a really unprofitable route just to drive up the profitability here. And they do try and land us, and we repel them. This is why we kept the 25 at home, or also there's no way for us to do anything. And we do discover the gold in Hokkaido, or a little bit more gold, so I think that kind of in the near-ish future we would want to go nitroglycerin, except it is natural spreading to us. I think following egalitarianism, then we're going to just want to go for Quinine here. Ooh. I would have thought that we would have had an easier time pushing this. Now, what is up here? Do you just have more... Why is your power projection so low? I guess they have a lot more battalions, but their power projection is so low that I think they just lose these battles, huh? And why is your defense so high and your power projection so low? So a big part of why we took this is because they had an absolute butt power projection, right? And our power projection was much higher, but now we're seeing that their PMs appear to be fine. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on, why they have such high things. So I guess we're going to have to try and land them repeatedly here, and we're maybe not going to be able to enforce on the Dutch East Indies. We'll take some enactment chance up in this bizzle. Some land tax. And currently in the queue, we do have the clothes coming on up. This will be quite nice because the throughput is, it scales in a way that's non-linear. It's exponential, and you have increasing marginal returns as the throughput bonus goes up. It improves all the previous buildings, and so when we build another one, it gets to 90% throughput, which adds a 1% to the building that was produced just now, or an extra 1% from, you know, 18 to 19. But on all the previous 18 buildings or 19 buildings that were built, it also adds 1%. So it kind of adds like 21%. And this is why chasing down these like 31s, and they're 31s for now because we do not yet have shift work. Chasing down these 31s is going to be good and important, and this is kind of what we were doing, looking for a 31. The next 31 we're going to probably want to go for is the one in this tooling workshop, so we'll just kind of add 5 at the back of the queue there, and then we will add a port at the front of the queue. We're going to add a port here, add a port here, and then we're going to add a railway here to kind of cover all that infrastructure that's going to be needed for building the additional 5 tooling workshops. Now, we could bring our 25 stack over, but the problem is then we would be very landable. But we could also just bring them over. And then if we see a landing coming in, what we will do is we will maybe recruit a general. Actually, let's just recruit a general now to defend at home. So we're going to prefer someone who has a defensive trait of some kind. Expert offensive planner is pretty good, and we can always delete this guy later, so we're going to do this. And we're going to look to get a few more guys over here to kind of aid in the struggle, because this is going to push into Banjar as well. And so while the 25 stack, or formerly 25 stack, is here, we can try and land Pontiac and take all of that territory. We're making quite a bit of money, but we are trying to get out from under the debt, because we are concerned a little bit with the interest. Or we'd rather not pay the interest. Of course. Naturally. This has been going up pretty well. A big reason why this is going up is not just the education access that we're getting, but is from the building in eastern Mali, the Mosque of Genet, which is giving 22% education access. Notably, we passed public schools, but that's only giving us 10% education access. We could increase that if we just add some more government administrations, and the government administrations will to some extent pay for themselves. So why don't we do that? We're going to do that in maybe Kanto. We're going to add just 5 back here, and that will hopefully give us enough. Somehow, we enforced on the Dutch East Indies? I have no idea how we got that enforcement, or what caused them to do that, because that seems absolutely wild. But we research egalitarianism, so we will be able to pass proportional taxation after we move back to land-based taxation. I'm glad I had the discussion about this with some of my viewers, because I think that I underdo this strategy. I don't think that it's necessarily like the first thing you rush and like the #1 thing to do. Like, I still think there's a lot of value in, you know, passing a bunch of other laws first before like doing this like backy-forthy. But I do think it is something to be aware of and to keep in mind that you can do. We do get nitroglycerin. Now, notably, this also gives us 25% resource discovery chance. We still have more gold discoverable in Hokkaido, and this is a reason why this is quite good. We will also want to build chem plants, and we are going to, I think we don't have any already, but we're going to take a look and see if we do. We have several, but they're all just level 1, so we're going to find whichever one has the most labor available. We see it's in Chubu, and we will build up a little bit. Now, we're picking Chubu because we want to encourage economies of scale, and we're also going to put it on auto expand. I'm a little bummed we don't have the normal Japan flag. I think this is because we chose not to be a monarchy anymore, and I really love the way it just polka dots everything. We are going to use our handy dandy Smackaraki button nut, and we will reset the production methods here. Now, notably, I saw we had really butt infrastructure. So what we're going to do is, this is now a regular port. Okay. We're going to delete the barracks. I think we're going to put a couple more ports in, and then we're going to put a railway in as well, and this will cover all of the infrastructure needed, or it should, even once we expand the coal mines, something like this. Taxation is theft, you're telling me. And this is one of the reasons why I think that swapping back and forth is maybe not so good, because it's kind of a bit difficult to swap back and forth. Taxation has some of the like worst negative ticks you can get when law passing, and they're particularly uncomfortable. But let's take a look at our authority now that this war is over, and it's just 4.5. So we are going to want to find a war that does generate a decent amount of infamy. We have now a level 7 guy in terms of what we have there. Now, we would want to take Bahrain, but Bahrain's having a little bit of a bad time right now. So we're going to go after Nejd. And we're going to... we're going to need to declare an interest here. Now, we have another free declare interest because we have taken that up. And we're going to put another one down there. Because eventually we do want to go into Zulu. I think we're going to expand construction a little bit. We're going to look to finish getting all these up to level 5. So just Shikoku. And then we're going to add here, because this is where we're going to continue to push the iron mines up. And I think we're going to just get this one to 31 and then put it on auto expand, and then we're going to leave it, and we're going to try and get the other iron mines to level 31, because that's the maximum economies of scale throughput bonus that we currently have. We're going to be spending a little bit more than what we want, but this is fine. We saved just a hot second ago, so we can reload and do the iron mine thing if we want. But we're going to look to conquer Nejd and also conquer... Actually, we might want to vassalize them. No, we're just going to look to conquer. I believe it is very much a thing where they will try and join against you significantly more. But we will just try and get in here. Now, I think it's very likely... Ooh, they're just concerned. They're not absolutely terrified. Ah, because they're annexed if they back down. It's a little strange that this makes it less likely... They're not annexed if they back down because they would still have hails. So this must be a bug because it says it would be annexed if they back down, but they're not. So this is a bug here. Exploiting a bug. Let's see, the Conservative Party has lost significant, election potential here, which is fine with us. We do want to get land-based taxation in, though, and so we will be keeping them in government for at least a little bit longer, but this is nice because we will be wanting to swap them out of government as soon as we pass land-based taxation so we can pass a different taxation. We will just look to land Nejd. And no great powers sticking their finger in our pie is quite nice. We are securing oil for the future mostly here. Nejd notably does, of course, have the 5 free, construction. So us getting a bunch of these construction things is a non-zero positive effect. We're going to have a bunch of livestock ranches and, like, this sort of stuff. But it's mainly about securing the oil for later. And the fact that these are wars that we can land with, like, a level 7... naval thing and just kind of like 40 units. We really don't need a whole lot of power in order to, push this. And so we are trying to not do wars that require a lot more resources than we currently have. So what we will do is we will take this guy, now at level 8, and we will land the level, let's land the level 10 guy. And just look to push in, and then kind of after this war, after we've decayed our infamy a little bit, we will probably just look to conquer Zulu and then conquer Transvaal, something like this. Normally we would have just vassalized Zulu, but I'm increasingly noticing this effect where if you have a subject that is a unrecognized power, man oh man, do great powers really love sticking their finger in your pie. So unfortunately this is less effective. Now we are having a little bit of volatility here. Our investment pool is overall growing. Now, when the investment pool is growing, you really want to just add more construction, and unfortunately, we also don't want to run a deficit spend, which is because we are unrecognized. If we were recognized, we'd have no problem with this. We're not going to get recognition for some time here to come, so we're just going to look to get Nejd and get out of here. I don't think we want momentum for the Conservative Party, so we will get the 20% extra, and we will also acquiesce, and now we have 46% on land-based taxation, which is notably worse than what we have now, which is another reason to not enact construction. We are going to lose 26k, so this will be very uncomfortable, this swap and then swap, but proportional taxation is going to make us more money. But this discomfort is a non-zero investment, so... as well as the fact that we can't be passing other laws, but we got a lot of the laws we wanted to place in place. We got Parliamentary Republic, landed voting, You know, elected bureaucrats, we got public schools, we got serfdom abolished, all these sorts of stuff. Now let's take a look at the government. Yikes. We do want to keep the landowners in government because they are driving the chance on land-based taxation, so we'll just keep them in for now. And I think we will mobilize our level 9 because Nejd often splits funny. And you can get pushed out sometimes, so even though we're 96, we're doing this just in case there's a weird split here that allows them to somehow get behind us and force us out. It's just, it's like a weird pocket that just develops fronts in a way that's often unfortunate. We see that this is at 65, so we're going to take a little bit of a pause. We're going to increase this 2 levels. We're going to put it in a tax on luxury clothes, and then we're going to decrease it. This is going to cause 0.4 opposition group disapproval, but this is not very much, and so we're fine with it. Notably is making the rural folk kind of close to being revolutionary, but this is fine, and it allows us to, you know, obviously get a bit more money. And notably, taxing the luxury goods is a nice way of increasing the taxes on the upper strata, which are the ones you want to be taxing more anyways. You don't really want to be kneecapping the lower strata, which we currently are a little bit. They are paying quite a bit in consumption taxes, the lower strata is, and not so much in income taxes. And their consumption taxes, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be mainly on services here, because that's the only thing we're oh, we're also taxing alky. Yeah, bad news bears for them. Goldfields depleted. Oh no. We actually, them getting minus attraction is like kind of bad, but us getting access to these is extremely good, these gold mines, because these are very profitable, and we're going to put them at the front of the queue. And this is what it's all about, baby. Now, we are also going to switch this on to nitroglycerin, and we didn't swap to the nitroglycerin PM when we should have here. But let's swap these to ammonia process, and this is going to cause them to make boom booms, and then we will come into the rural area and we will start using some of these boom booms. Notably, we're going to put the boom booms in, I think, here. And we're going to also put them in here. And we're going to look to slowly swap over to using these PMs. Which we're going to check in Shubu, which I believe has the chem plants. We're currently building another couple chem plants. Explosives are still cheap, so we're going to come in here and we're going to increase this further. We would like the auto queue to build more of these boom boom places. So we're going to come into Kanto and we'll go nitroglycerin. And I'm thinking that this should make it a decent price alongside the gold mines that are going to finish. Now we're going to take our handy dandy button and we're going to reset the production methods here in these 2 places, and we see we have big infrastructure problems. We're going to take a look. A lot of that's probably coming from the devastated. Ooh, not that devastated. So we are gonna, I mean, it's pretty cheap to incorporate this, and eventually it's going to have a lot of people. So why don't we incorporate it now? It does take 20 years, but this is fine. I think we're going to be okay with that, and we're going to handle this with ports instead of with something else. That way we are kind of upping our convoy count for a variety of other things. And I think we're going to conclude this episode here now. So what we have done is we talked a little bit about, you know, our expansion plan in general, and also kind of where we were going with the laws. We did manage to, or we're currently switching on to per capita taxation. We managed to pass public schools. We managed to get a couple places for oil in the later game, both in Eastern Borneo as well as in the Middle East here. I think we took Zanzibar, which is going to be nice once we get a little bit more of a push in terms of our ability to, let's put this back here because that keeps on unassigning for whatever reason. Push our ability to, you know, continue to expand the colonies because it gives us more surface area. More of these you can see here, we're expanding in 4 different areas. And even though it's slow, once we research Quinine, it'll speed up and we'll get access to a lot of rubber. So we've secured oil and rubber for the future, as well as just kind of, you know, developed a little bit. The economy is cranking up quite nicely. This cranking up. This is flat, as it will be because we have a lot of peasants. But, you know, we went from 200 construction construction to 280. This is a decent bump. Notably, once we get onto land-based taxation and then onto proportional, it'll be very uncomfortable when we're on land-based, especially because we can't increase the tax one notch. We will almost certainly have to do this. And then once we get onto proportional taxation, then we can probably, you know, go to maybe 500-600 construction, something like this. But yeah, for now, we have secured oil and rubber for the future, and had a nice kind of expansion plan, as well as pushing the text along and this sort of stuff. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe if it helps out. YouTube algo stuff, etc., etc., mostly etc. And have a good day.